But I want us to quickly talk about the committee set up by the Interior Minister to look into matters of EJURA. How much of it did you follow yesterday, Mr. Kunedu? The Ashanti Regional Minister appeared where he justified the use of the military. He also would not disclose his intel. He tendered in a piece of video to the committee, but he would not disclose where he got the video from. And they practically had to beg him to make the person available if he could.
Yeah, I watched the regional minister, and I also watched
Erastus
Asari Donko's testimonial evidence at the committee. Let me talk about the intel. Maybe, as much as I would want to have said that probably that person would be a very good source of evidence or information for the committee, you obviously cannot also put the person in public domain. Because one, the regional minister made it clear that if you do that, you would obviously not be able to have quite a number of people bringing out information to him on security matters.
But they did tell him that they could hear that person in camera.
Yes, that is what he even suggested that, and the committee agreed on that, that if they would want to hear the person in camera. So he actually did not dismiss that he would not want to bring the person to the committee. But because he doesn't want to bring people that gives him information, intelligent information, security information, because you see there are quite a number of people who go out giving information. And you and I believe that whistleblowers have always been very good source of information. And in Twi, we say, which means literally translating, nobody gives out the person who gives him or her information, because otherwise we will never have information.
But this is a committee that's looking for facts.
Yes, so they can sit in camera and take those facts and include that in their
report. It's interesting you say that, because monitoring him and hearing him yesterday, yes, it wasn't so definite that he could make the person available.
No.
Because towards the end, he was talking about how he did not want to damage the person or anything of it, even after the pleas that they could hear it in camera.
Oh, no. He said he would try and bring the person so that the person will be heard in camera, so that it doesn't jeopardize all other individuals that gives him information on
Interesting. I didn't get that same impression.
Yeah, oh, I did. I did. And I believe that is going to happen, because you and I, and for me especially, would want to have a clarity as to what happened and why it happened, so that we can curtail future occurrences of such events. And so that, at least in training of our security personnel and even inculcating into ourselves as citizens, certain things that we should not be doing going forward. Because at the end of the day, all these people, men in uniform, are just ordinary as we are. They would have relatives and people across the country and everywhere, that ordinarily they would not be there to protect those individuals, but they may be victims when some of these events happen.
Okay, quickly talk about Erastus so that I can move on.
That is where I will get back to the point that I was trying to make, that when information or when news break, it is important for every single person to have the temperament to verify all information before we put it out there and make certain remarks, though it may be our independent remarks that we'd want to make. But people who consume information from us, as people that they believe would have that information, would always take it as the truth.
Why do you say that?
Yes, because when he was asked and he was pushed, he said that when they had the information, they could not, as an independent...
Which information are you talking about?
That is when they had the information about the person being killed as a result of the person being a Fix the Country person, Fix the Country campaigner. He said
so
this independently verify. And that he even ended up saying that some of the information or the news that got out was as a result of the discretion of the editors.
Okay, so this is the parts of the probe that was looking at the slag. So just as we're here on television, we see EJURA Killing Probe, 3-member committee continues public sitting in Kumasi.
Sure.
But what has that got to do with the person who is covering the story on the ground?
What has that got to do with the person who is covering the story on the ground?
Because you were talking to the reporter who was on the field.
Yes.
Whose visuals could probably help you uncover perpetrators of this crime.
Sure.
What has he got to do with what we put on the screen? And I know that a lot of people don't understand our work. But if you're on the field, our reporters that followed the demonstration yesterday, Gifty and Daniel, they would not know what we put on the screen.
You see...
Do you understand what I mean? Like, I want us to be clear.
This is the probe. But these are not the real events that happened on the 27th and the 28th. I'm talking about what happened on the 27th and on the 28th.
And I'm also explaining the protocols to you. Because Erastus on that day was a reporter.
Sure.
He was only telling the story
as
on
what
the
he
ground.
has heard.
No. Are we okay? So maybe let me give you the opportunity because you've done this work before. So maybe you have a better understanding. You can explain the things better.
I get where you are coming from. You see, there is this appetite of my friends in government to distance Kaka from the social media activism he was engaged in before his death. But they are not even doing it well. Because you see, the evidence of his social media activism is still online. So to describe him as a social media activist, and even to infer that it could have been the reason, one of the reasons.
But we didn't even make that
you didn't make that inference.
Erastus had gone to the house because there was the description that he was a fix the country campaigner.
Yes.
And Erastus was telling us how the family,
I am not
showed him
attributing the
evidence,
inference to
but then
you.
there were other people who said no, he wasn't.
Fantastic.
But
So,
then we also had the fix the country campaigners themselves
saying he
issue a
was
statement
member
and talk about that.
So that's what I'm saying. He was a social media activist. No question about that. What we cannot, at this point, confidently say is whether his social media activism is what led to his death or his murder. But what we should not also be denied from saying, because investigations are not conclusive yet, is that it is possible. Are you getting the point I'm making? We cannot say conclusively that it is the reason, but we should not be denied. And so if you, as a reporter, you go to the scene and some people tell you that it is possible, you have the duty to report that. If others say that is not the reason, another reason is possible, you have a duty to report that. But where maybe my brother is not getting the analogy you are making is when the committee members make references to the newsroom production of what a reporter says. Because you see, in the newsroom, a lot of things happen. The reporter on the ground says so much. There are those who are also tasked to summarize what he says and to draw headlines out of it and put those headlines either as news headline or just, slags on the screens. It is some people's duty. They get it wrong sometimes. Even when we are on this show, there are times they attribute slags to us that we have to draw their attention to correct. It happens. So they may have assigned a slag that does not, correctly represent what the reporter on the ground said. So if you have the opportunity to interact with the reporter, you don't blame the reporter for whatever may have happened.
My confusion yesterday, are they looking for facts as in what happened on the ground?
Because
or they are looking at what the television station
may have gotten wrong.
Put on
that
the screen necessary. As a slag?
In my view, Mama V.
Because this is not even a commission of inquiry. Yes. You are asking people to willingly, freely come before you and give information.
Mama V, in my view, and that is where I think that maybe the committee members missed the point. It is not to prove the media house wrong about what they did. It is to find the facts and let the facts speak for themselves. And you had, the reporter who was on the ground there. So you needed to, as much as possible, focus on what he saw and what he reported exactly. That will speak for itself.
You would know the cost involved in sending the whole team with live instruments to broadcast something as we did.
Right.
The whole time. Yeah. And to give that record to a committee free of charge for them to use, I am thinking that we should be saying a big thank you to Erastus and the team instead of looking for faults with slacks.
That's what I'm saying. I think that the committee members at that point got it a bit wrong. They should focus on getting. But I think I should have started with that. We in the NDC and other, well-meaning Ghanaians do not even think that this committee should be the one looking at this matter. We think it should be higher. It should be a presidential commission or something like the Ayawaso West Wagon. Not to take away the credibility of some of the members, and I stress the some. Not to take away the credibility and maybe the professionalism of some of the committee members. But just to say that the powers that they have as a ministerial committee cannot be equated to what we would have had if we had, for example, a commission, an independent commission, or even commission for human rights, you know, looking into this matter.
Let me give
but all in all, as they do their work, I will urge that they focus on the facts and not the asides of who may have gotten what report or slug or headline wrong. They should focus on getting as much information as possible from people who can help them. And see, maybe if you permit me, a quick comment on the video that the Ashanti Regional Minister, you know, had some banter. Yes. You see, it is important for the committee to insist that they get the person who sent him the video to get facts also from that person. Facts. Because you see, that video in question has been on social media since the EJURA incident. Now, not to discredit the video, but videos sometimes are shared, but they have nothing to do with the subject that is being discussed. I'll give you a typical example recently. When we had the shootings in EJURA, after the shootings in EJURA, there was a video of President Mahama that emerged of him visiting victims on hospital beds. People thought that was EJURA. Do you understand? So you have to find out, first of all, who shot the video. The person who gave the video to the minister, was he the one who shot the video? It's important to establish that. And where did he shoot the video? At what time did he shoot the video? Okay. And what happened before the video was shot? You need to understand all of that. Okay. Because this video could have even been shot after the two people were dead. It's interesting you're asking all these questions. It's important. But you already set out the limitations for this committee. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Mama, thank you. You see, in as much as the committee is on a fact-finding or evidence-finding, it doesn't mean that they must also be able to see every single thing that they are getting in contact with. The reason why I say so is that immediately things happen and how they are reported, the sort of conclusion, the remarks that we make, even makes the job of the investigative bodies very difficult. Currently, we sit here, we are hearing that the brother of Kaka had been arrested by the police. An investigation is ongoing that he may have been the person who killed his own brother. Now, people would discredit that as a way of trying to take off the initial reportage or the initial information that they may have.
You can't control that.
That is the point. So now the duty or the job that the investigative bodies would have to do then becomes very difficult.
Oh, but that's how things have been always.
But it should not,
unless you're under a military regime, then you can force people not to have their own angles to a situation.
But when having your own angles to a situation, it should not also be said that that cannot also be criticized. And that cannot also be scrutinized. The same way we want to scrutinize others, that should also be scrutinized. I am not saying that people should not report, but I am only saying that when things of this nature happen, how we go about it, we should be very...
Okay, so
otherwise, at the end of the day...
I want to appreciate what you're coming from.
Yes.
So what should Erastus have done? Because he was on the field. No, like, help me appreciate...
I am not being specific as to what. That is why I said that when some of these matters do happen, the initial reportage should always be a bit circumspect. Yes. And that
so unless you have something, contrary...
Mama V, at the end of the day, if Kake's brother hadn't been arrested, the narrative now, not to rule out what Suhini also said...
He remains a suspect.
The same way that the allegation of him being a member of Fix the Country person, that is why...
They issued a statement. Fix the Country campaigners issued a statement.
That was after that reportage.
But if there's a group that have a common interest, issue a statement and say...
That was after. What you are doing is dangerous.
Sweeney, don't go there.
Oh no, what you are doing is dangerous.
You see, I'm only saying...
I think you may not notice, but you are giving a certain sense that Kake's brother may have been arrested to discredit the reportage.
I am not saying...
That suggested that he was a social media activist. That's what you are suggesting.
Then I would also...
Was that the aim of just arresting the gentleman? Because we have heard the niece of the niece. In fact, Kake's daughter crying on the vice president and saying the uncle couldn't have been responsible and they must release the uncle.
Okay. Okay,
and so when you suggest that because people were linking him to social media activism, then they arrest the brother to shut that up,
that would also have been made so that the real evidence as to why he was killed then could have also been covered. That the social media activism could also have been made up. If that is what you would want to say.
My goodness. I mean,
No,
I don't think you are helping the system with that line of argument.
I am only saying that in everything we must be
Could it be that?
And we must not be conclusive on facts that it is not verified.
So are we saying that because there are conspiracies, there are conspiracy theories
and he's just giving us one conspiracy theory. That the brother of Kaka was arrested because of the suggestion that he was part of the media.
But it becomes difficult, even for acceptance of what really happened.
He's just giving us one conspiracy theory.
You have already given that conspiracy theory. That could have been made up.
No,
just to cover
you are suggesting that.
I am not. I only say that because
listen to yourself
now
again.
that the police are trying to find the perpetrators of the crime and even have arrested his own brother, that could have been the person who killed him. Now it would even become.
And you said if they didn't do that, the report that his social media activists would have continued.
I did not say that.
That's what you said.
That is not what I said. We can always
that is not what I said. That is what I find interesting.
That is not what I said.
So if they had not arrested the brother, the suggestion that he was social media activist would have continued.
No, that was not what I said.
So was he arrested to stop that reportage?
Was the social media activism put out there so that the real perpetrators?
The fact is that he is a social media activist, and so any suggestion that his work may have led to his killing, it's a possibility that has to be proven wrong by investigation.
There have been high-profile social media activism. He was not even the originator of Fix the Country.
Oh my God.
Those people are even walking around. So let us not be on that path. That is what I'm saying. We should not be on that path. Let us give people an opportunity to also digest information, but not to give them a conclusive information at the end of the day.
So by the kind of conversations that we have around the work of the committee, would we not be shifting the goalposts? Because the committee is there to find out facts leading to the killing of 2 persons in EJURA and the injury of others.
Amputation of a 16-year-old. That's how sad.
So if we begin to, crowd the space with these kind of conversations.
That is the point.
Yeah, but who has caused it?
We all have caused it. Because we could not give those people who had the primary responsibility initially to have access to evidence, for them to digest that evidence and put them out there for us to then analyze.
Just the final thing, because we have to go. Is it good that the media can do something that all other state agencies, when at the crucial time, are not able to do? Because we've given, and yesterday Erastus, revealed that it's several hours of videotapes, and I thought that would be absolutely helpful to the committee if they really want to identify the people. But it looks like that's
not even focused on
that. Are we shifting the goalpost?
Nobody is shifting the goalpost. In as much as evidence are given from a person, doesn't mean that the evidence cannot be
to clear some people and clear the government of complicity.
And claim the government of complicity.
Yeah,
what
that's
has the
how it
government got
looks
to do
like.
with that?
That's why.
What has the government got to do?
The government is in charge of our security.
So at the end
and
of
our
the day,
safety.
yes, you see, that is where you bring it.
The commander, the
evidence
commander is an appointee of the government.
You don't just consume the evidence.
And he has admitted deploying the soldiers.
We can't make the conclusion.
So it's government.
To be fair with the minister, he says it's a strategy that he's been using.
I understand, but I'm saying if it goes wrong,
and it has usually worked.
But if in this case it has gone wrong,
and it is
government responsibility.
Intel that he said he had. Yes. Had he not, and we had another situation, what would you have said? Oh, he could have deployed the military and he did not. And now we have people, insurgents or whatever, infiltrating what had happened there. And now
we have to leave the analysis here. And then look forward to. I was a bit confused yesterday, though. So was it day 1 yesterday, so that it's day 2 today? Remember, the president gave 10 days.
Yes, I think so.
So the days will start counting.
It will start counting from the day
the day they started work.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a possibility of an extension depending as to what the evidence is that.
If they focus on the essentials.
What's your expectation? Would the Minister of Interior also issue a white paper? As in, would he also present a report out of the report that's given to him by the committee to the president?
Definitely, sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
And that is why, again, we have our skepticism. We are skeptical about the outcome of this committee's report. I mean, even a commission's report is still being unattended to.
Well, we'll see how this one goes. let's have an open mind.
Another, that they say that when a government has to form a committee to resolve your problem, then you have a long way to go.
So, this is not the first time we've had committees in this country.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Stay with us. You're still watching the AM show. And when the committee sits, of course, we will bring you the updates live here on JoyNews.